Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us again. This is Sunil Chandy, and we're on Food for Thought, a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church. And we thank you for being with us today as we connect with you and you connect with us. And hopefully we connect all together with God and God's love and grace and mercy. And of course, this at the very beginning of our show, we just ask you to say hello, tell us and connect with us. Tell us that you're here and watching and enjoying this ministry. I know that today we have a wonderful, wise guest who will give us great wisdom from on high, and she is a wonderful person, and I know, and she's been on our show before, and she's a good friend of mine from my work here at Christ Episcopal Church in Westerly and Rhode Island. So as people continue to come on board and check us out, I hope that you will say hello. But I was this morning. It was an interesting thing. This morning, I was yesterday. This whole week has been kind of crazy for me, and I know it's for some of you. It never seems to end. It just seems to. It's a good thing when it doesn't end, but I mean, it seems like we're always running on this treadmill, and I feel like I'm always running, and I'm always I've got the to-do list, and I've got all the things I have to do, and a lot of times those things don't work out well. I mean, sometimes all you're doing is just going through one activity after the other, and you don't know if you're making a difference, and sometimes you don't even feel like the joy. And I felt like that yesterday. I mean, this whole week between funerals and last rites and wedding preparations and all the things of ministry, my life was been busy, and also things at home. It's been, we're still kind of in lockdown. Kids are at home, and we're trying to work it all out. We're juggling everything, and it just doesn't feel like I'm making progress sometimes. And that's the way I felt like this morning. And I woke up to do my morning prayer, and I'm just just doing it, just going through it, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, Lord. And but just then, what did I hear? I hear the garbage truck coming. The garbage truck, because I forgot to put out the garbage yesterday night. The recyclables and the regular garbage. And I missed it last week too, because we were off schedule or something. And so we had a lot of recyclables to put out. And I started panicking. So I stopped my morning prayer. And then I just quickly put on in my PJs, put on my sandal, and then went outside, and and the garbage men, they work really hard, and they're on a schedule. And like if you miss them at 5 o'clock in the morning, they don't stop, right? And so here I am. I open the door and I say, please stop, please. And luckily, they stopped. And I said, "Oh, I'm so thank you so much." And I got the garbage, the recyclables, and I got the regular garbage, and I put it both out, because somehow, for some reason, they had two trucks following each other. And of course, they were gracious. They took it at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I found out I was happy. I wasn't thinking about how life is such a drudgery sometimes, and I'm just going through all the motions, and I started to feel joyful, and I started to think about Psalm 40. Right, this is my father's favorite psalm. I waited patiently upon the Lord. He stooped to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the desolate pit, out of the mire and clay. He set my feet upon a high cliff and made my footing sure. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many shall see and stand in awe and put their trust in the Lord. I felt like that. I felt like that right after they took my garbage. Can you believe that? And part of the reason why is I think it just for some reason, taking the garbage out was just a good metaphor for me, you know? It's like one thing that actually worked. And I know that in life, I'm doing all the things that matter and should be, and I'm going through it, and it's rigorous, and, you know, the prayer life, the exercise life, the trying to meet all the schedules and all the meetings, and I'm doing all of those things, but it can be unending sometimes. And sometimes you don't see the fruits of all that hard work until you do, right? And for some reason, at that moment when that garbage is taken out and I caught that garbage man, I started to think, wow, thank you, God. It gave me a second wind. I think in life, we get these second winds every now and then. And I'm making a big deal out of it because it was a big deal for me. Sometimes we think about all the things that we have to do and the life-changing impact, impact and engendering decisions we make that change our community and world. But sometimes all we need is just a little something to go right. And then when it does, we need to acknowledge it, because that something going right helps us to get the second wind. I mean, those people did not have, and Shirley, those people did not have to be, the garbage men didn't have to stop, but they were grace, a moment of grace. They stopped for me, and they helped me. And I think God was working through them, because this morning was a tough morning, and now it's a great day. You know, one of the people that always helps me to be reminded of God's grace is the guest that we have today, the Reverend Ruth Hainsworth. Ruth is just a wonderful lady, filled with wisdom and a quiet joy about her, and I really value her friendship. Her voice is very important to me. It helps me to be a better person, and helps me to see things that I don't usually see, or look away from sometimes, you know, because some of the stuff that she brings up is just very challenging for me to understand. And so I value that friendship, because I see the world differently through her eyes. Ruth is, the Reverend Ruth Schilling Hainsworth is the pastor of United Congregational Church of Westerly, United Church of Christ, which is actually located in Pawcatuck, Connecticut. Ruth has been serving there for almost 10 years, following a long career as a minister of education and family life in several churches in the greater Providence area. Ruth is a published author who has also worked in Christian education, curriculum development, writing for the Seasons of the Spirit curriculum, among others. She's been active in the United Church of Christ nationally, serving as the chairperson of the Association of United Church Educators and Partners in Educational Local Church Consultant. Ruth graduated from Harvard Divinity School, where her studies were focused on feminist and liberation theologies. Currently, Ruth is the president of the Westerly Pawcatuck Clergy Association and serves on the Westerly Hospital Ethics Committee and the Health Impact Collaborative for the greater Westerly area. She's a wonderful lady. And Ben, please bring her on.
Hi. Hi, what a lead-in. Holy cow.
Only the truth. What can I say?
Thank you for all the kind words. That's quite nice. I appreciate it.
No, it is. Namaste, Betsy. Thank you for watching. Yeah, here's Sophia's spirit at work. Simple things like garbage removal gone done right. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, very true.
Yeah. I mean, today I was just very happy with that, and I felt my mood change right after that moment.
Yes. That whole notion of needing something to go right, even when it's something as mundane as the garbage being picked up, is huge.
Oh my God.
It really is.
It is. I mean, it's the night before, usually I was exhausted. My wife was exhausted. The kids are exhausted. No one even thought about the garbage.
Right.
But that's like such a critical thing for us.
It is. Absolutely.
and the fact that they waited was just was a joy
That's,
to me.
yeah, that's amazing. So,
Yeah. Anyway.
oh, so you have a schedule that sounds like mine.
I know. Your schedule is amazingly difficult. I mean, you not only live up in the Providence area, and you
Yep.
travel down here, and you're here all the time, and you do office hours at the local bookstore. You get
I haven't done
engaged.
that since COVID, but I'm going back because I'm having people asking for me. So,
Yeah, no, I mean it's the public face of ministry, and you're engaged, and
try to be, yes.
yeah, and you're active in the clergy association, the president. You're also active in the hospital system, and all that we do. I mean, even though you're living about an hour away, right?
Yep.
You still make it. You make it down here, and it's as if you've always been here.
Yeah. Thank you. That was my goal when I started at the
Yeah.
church, was that people would not know that I didn't live here. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that that's the case. In fact, my own parishioners know I don't live here, but sometimes they forget.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and that's wonderful. That's what I was hoping would happen. So.
Well, I hope I didn't let it out a secret or something.
No, not at all. No, it's not at all. Not at all.
But it just reminds me of how important you consider ministry to be, and how dedicated you are. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for all that you do for our community, for this community. And I'm blessed that because I live in one community and serve in another, I feel doubly blessed that I'm a part of two different communities. But I love this area. It's a great, great area. And
Yeah.
we haven't relocated down here simply because I have family in Boston. I have family anchored in Providence with jobs and what have you. So it just makes sense. And I don't mind the drive at all. It's an easy drive.
When I was in New Jersey, we lived in Princeton, and we were traveling to Mount Holly, where I was the rector and priest, and it was about a 45 minutes to an hour. And I just love listening to NPR and audiobooks, and it was just great. It was just downtime. It helped me to kind of get engaged, think about some things, and then when I needed to leave, I left. Really.
Yes.
And
it establishes boundaries more easily when there's distance involved. And my church is very understanding of that and very supportive of it. And it's been funny when we have bad weather, though, we seldom cancel worship, because the rule of thumb is if I can get there, anybody can.
Yeah.
So, and for a while, my organist and music director didn't live too far away from me. He lived in Cranston, but then he ended up relocating to Westerly. So now that's not the case. But it's funny.
No excuse. You got to come to church.
Well, and as a result, what I've done is I've left the decision to cancel with my deacons, because they all live in the area. So I say to them, I'm going to get there. If you want to have worship, I'll be there, because I drive in all kinds of weather. It doesn't bother me at all. So they make that call, and they say, no, we're going to call. Although now with virtual worship, you don't even really have to do that, because I've done worship from my front porch, from my back patio, from my kitchen, and that's one of the gifts that we've discovered as a church. And I know you have too, that it removes barriers that before COVID seemed like they were impossible to overcome. And yet here we are with this whole new reality. And it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think, this COVID-19, God, I'm it's a bittersweet experience for me, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's because we don't wish it on anything, on us at all in the future, and we wouldn't want to have it. But in the midst of it, we've learned a lot. We've learned
so much. Yeah.
We've learned about our use of technology.
Yep.
I've got, like, I don't necessarily hold to those old adages that we used to hear in culture, kind of like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or you can't teach people can't learn for whatever reason. I've got people who are engaging in this ministries. They're like from 70, 80, 90 years old.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. We're seeing the same thing. And so I think moving forward for my church, there isn't going to be any question that we're going to move forward with a hybrid model, not only for worship, but also for board and committee meetings, for groups. I have a I have a grief group that would not work to do broadcast. So I can't do that. But I'm going to be starting a new group when I get back from vacation on mindfulness. I'm going to be teaching mindfulness. I did a whole mindfulness Sunday this past Sunday, and people really liked it. So I'm going to start a mindfulness group. And that's something that I'd be able to do online quite easily.
Yeah.
So I think it's just being open to new possibilities and not being afraid to try things and fail. That's one of them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we try this online stuff and it just dies. It falls flat. But that's okay. You survive.
That's right. Exactly. I think part of it is I know at the very beginning, right, there's a like almost a frustration factor, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like people would engage in this and I can't get in. I get the link doesn't work. And then and luckily for us, we had our wonderful parish administrator, Jackie, and I mean, and everyone has, the church has learned to adapt, but Jackie kind of like walked through folks through this and said, don't worry, you've got this. You could go to this website. You could go there, here, no problem. And she walked through it with them. And then after the first couple of times, people were just calm. And then we were all learning to be patient too,
Yes, absolutely. And learning to see the possibilities as well as the problems. And that's something I've always emphasized in my ministries is, of course we have to talk about the problems and the challenges, but let's always remember to look for the possibilities because they exist side by side.
Yeah.
And that's, so it's been great. And my people have been very adaptive, very supportive, and we have fun with it all the time. And the worship style in the congregational tradition is, of course, very much more informal than what you're used to in the Episcopal Church. And I love the liturgy, the liturgy of the High Church. But, we're able to our learning curve was, I think, a little less steep because Dave and I, my minister of music, would just if something didn't work, it was just, we'd laugh about it and people saw us laughing. And sometimes I'd turn the camera around so they could see Dave at the organ so I said, he really is playing. I'm sorry I can't hear, but he really is playing. See, there he is. That kind of stuff.
See his fingers move. See his fingers.
See, he's doing it. And so it's been a both and situation. Now, of course, there's nothing. I think the other thing we come to appreciate in my church, and I'm sure it's the same in your church, is as much as we can accomplish by technology and as much as we can find ways to worship God and celebrate all the things of life, and in some cases, funerals as well, there is still that person-to-person, face-to-face contact that you can't replace.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. And that's, I think, valuing that in a whole new way has been a huge learning across the board is,
Well, I love that. That's so insightful, Ruth. I mean, I remember that Robert Frost poem that goes something like this. There's one particular line, I'm paraphrasing it. If in order to appreciate the summer or the spring, you have to go through the winter.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, and so we're in this period of. I mean, I have the same feeling that's being expressed to me to my parishioners the first time they come back to in-person worship.
Yeah.
You know, it's an emotional experience. They
Very.
it's like and if they're vaccinated, you know, they even come for a close hug, or, you know, and
Right.
and there's that initial awkwardness. What should we do? But then there's this sense like.
Yeah. They can exhale and just relax into the space. And
Yeah.
relax into being with each other. And what I have found that's been absolutely fascinating, and I think it's wonderful, is because we have made a long-term commitment to continue broadcasting worship. And so what that means is that if people, for whatever reason, get up, so we were just talking about this at our deacons meeting this past Tuesday evening. If you get up in the morning and you just have had a really exhausting week and you can't stand the thought of having to get dressed and go out, you can still worship. And on the other hand, if you really need that close contact with the people of the church, or you just want to be in that space, you can still do that. It's like trying to emphasize the best of both worlds. And I think for us in the church, it's also learning to not focus so much on, this has been a very valuable lesson for me, not to focus just on the people I can see in front of me, but to recognize there's this whole big group out of my line of sight, and to work with my deacons so that when they're doing their part of the liturgy, they're doing the same thing. And they've gotten pretty good at it now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for all we've learned and are learning still and will continue to learn. So it's been good.
You know, so you were. I wanted to comment on what you were saying in terms of our liturgy, the Episcopal liturgy, and you're right. There's a sense that it has to be done in a certain way in the Episcopal Church, and there's like there are, you know, the thing that we sometimes struggle with is our idea of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where it has to be perfect, and COVID has, I think, I mean, throughout the country and throughout the world, helped us to realize that it's not about perfection, because there are things that are going to happen way beyond our control.
Exactly.
You know, and so it was funny though, because my bishop, we had a renewal of vows, and my bishop called together. It's when our bishop calls all the clergy of the diocese together, and we do a liturgy together. And there was this moment where there was a little bit of a mistake in it, right? And he it was just like there was one prayer that was avoided, and then in the middle of right after, and then he went on to another section, and then one of the clergy person just like, you know, it never would have happened before, because this is right in the middle of, he goes, you know, Bishop, we forgot this part here. And then it was the most lovely thing, because then the bishop said, oh, I'm sorry. And then we did the part, right? We did the part. And then he explained later, you know, it's okay. And then we said, you know, Bishop, it's not about perfection, it's about presence.
Exactly.
It's about that you're here, we're here, God's here, and that's all that's really needed. And although we might have an ideal, sometimes it doesn't work, but as long as we're together, there's holiness there.
Absolutely. Well, Jesus said that wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, there I am in the midst. And he never said physically.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
That's what we've learned to see, is wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, in whatever way that gathering now happens.
In virtual space.
In virtual space is no less authentic.
Yeah.
No less authentic.
So it's interesting. So between you and me and this church and your church, we're on holy ground.
Exactly. Absolutely. Always. Always.
Wow.
No question. So, and the only other thing I wanted to mention real quick was our pollinator gardens here at the church. We're very excited about them. People see them all the time when they drive by. And I want folks to know that if they have questions on the gardens and what we're doing and why we're doing it, they can feel free to reach out to us anytime or go on our website. And anyone in the community is welcome to come walk our labyrinth anytime they would like. And
why don't we do this? Why don't we one day schedule a time where I come out there and we'll do a feature in there. And
that would be awesome.
And we
that
could
would
do,
be awesome.
Because I've never been to a pollinator garden. I don't exactly know what that is.
We have 4 acres where we are, and so there's a lot of different parts of the pollinator gardens here, and we're very excited to see there are other partners developing in the community, people letting their lawns grow shaggier before they mow them, and as well as
I try to do that too, but it's unintentional.
That's all right. Now you can do it and say, "Oh well, I'm feeding the pollinators." My husband loved it, because it really does make a difference. It feeds the bees, and it's exciting to see that people are paying attention to what we do, and that.
Why don't we schedule a time, like when you're back from vacation, maybe early. Sure. Maybe in
late August, the gardens are gorgeous.
Late August, yeah, and then we'll do like, I'll take a trip out there, and we could even maybe talk about the labyrinth experience.
Sure, absolutely. I'd love to show you, and I could have some of our, maybe 1 or 2 of our pollinator people be there and explain to you how we do what we do. And anybody can do it. You don't have to. We have a lot of acreage, but you don't need a lot of acreage. There are people that live in cities and apartments and just have pollinator planters on their windowsills.
So like, how large is your labyrinth, by the way? It's not huge because we didn't have the space to do that. I think our diameter is 30 feet. So it's not. It's a decent size, maybe 25, 30 feet. And I'll share one quick story about the labyrinth, if I may. The people that designed it for us were 2 of our members who are engineers in the defense industry. And they were so excited to use their engineering skills and abilities to do something like the labyrinth. That was to provide an opportunity for people to experience peace. So it was and they did an amazing, amazing job. Well, let's schedule the time where I could come there, and then we could even think about the possibility of maybe doing a joint pastoral care committee thing. We're doing a walk right now, a spiritual walk in Avondale Preserves on June 27th, and it's
nice.
Just with where people are walking in the preserve, and it's with spiritual prayers. It's about helping us to be mindful of nature and. Exactly. And God and nature. But maybe, and then we're also doing some programs with a walking Eucharist. That's going to be pretty interesting too. But I would love to, if maybe my pastoral care committee look at, because we were looking at labyrinths for ourselves too. Might be good to just do it with your group and your church. That would be wonderful. And we're also going to be doing pollinator spiritual hikes the end of the summer on some hiking trails around, and we're going to do it with some of our partner organizations, the local Wild Ones chapter, to help people see the fruits of pollinator gardens in the wild, how it really does impact the whole community. So I think we could do some stuff together, Ruth. Yeah, I think that would be wonderful. I am not an outdoorsy person. Neither am I. Neither am I. Oh my heavens, no. Oh my God. No, this came to me from the people in my church who are passionate about it. Oh my God. Once we started working on it, it just ran with itself. And we have government partners. We're part of a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Eastern Connecticut Conservation District, the Arboretum at Connecticut College. These are all organizations that are sponsoring or working with us on this whole idea. So that'd be wonderful. We would love to work together on some things. That'd be great. Well, Ruth, thank you for your friendship, and thank you for all that you do for our community. It's always great to talk with you.
Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Isn't she wonderful? Ruth, she is we didn't even get a chance to talk about the Westerly Pawcatuck Clergy Association, but she does great work with it. But Ruth is the pastor of United Congregational Church of Westerly and United Church of Christ. And we're just so happy to have her friendship. So our time is ending now. And so let us join together in prayer. This is a prayer crafted by this is a prayer that's adapted from one written by Bishop Thomas Brown of Maine. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, who traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, counselors, and caregivers. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go in peace to love and serve God. Spread the light of Christ, the light of hope and joy to the world around you. The world needs it right now.
Thanks for watching. Did you know that you can join Christ Church from anywhere in the world? If you're feeling connected to what we're doing, email us today at communicate@christchurchwesterly.org.